There is a place on Earth where the world becomes quiet in a way most of us will never hear. Not quiet like a bedroom after midnight. Not quiet like a street after the rain has stopped. Not even quiet like a forest in winter, where the branches hold still and the snow seems to soften every sound before it reaches you. This is deeper than that. This is the quiet below everything. Below the weather. Below the waves. Below the ships and storms and sunlight. Below the places where ordinary sound still knows how to travel through the world. There is a place in the western Pacific Ocean, far from the noise of cities and roads and ringing phones and unfinished lists, where the sea floor bends downward into a long, dark scar in the crust of the earth. The Mariana Trench. You have heard the name before, probably. Maybe in school, maybe in a documentary, maybe in one of those quiet moments when someone says a number so large it stops being a number and becomes a feeling. Nearly 11,000 meters down, more than 35,000 feet beneath the surface, deep enough that if Mount Everest were placed inside it, the summit would still be under the water. Deep enough that daylight never arrives. Deep enough that the pressure is not something the mind can easily imagine. And yet, tonight, you do not need to imagine it as danger. Tonight, you can imagine it as distance. A great, soft distance between you and everything you have been carrying. You are not going there in fear. You are not going there in a fragile vessel with alarms and metal creaks and nervous voices over a radio. You are going there in a calm and impossible way. The way sleep stories allow you to go places no body could safely go. You are going there gently, protected, warm, carried. So let your body settle for a moment. Just notice where you are, the surface beneath you, the weight of your arms at your sides, the back of your head against the pillow, which is doing all the work of holding you and asking nothing in return. You do not have to do anything with your body right now. It is already doing the right things. Your chest is rising and falling on its own. Your hands are wherever they are. Your jaw, if you check it gently, is probably a little looser than it was a moment ago, just from being noticed. That is all it needed, just to be noticed. I want to take you somewhere. Not up, not out into the cold dark of space. Not tonight. Tonight we are going the other direction. Tonight we are going down. The ocean knows how to carry things. It carries moonlight across its surface. It carries boats while people sleep inside them. It carries whale songs through dark water for impossible distances. It carries grains of sand, fallen leaves, drifting ice, lost feathers, and tiny shells that once held living things. And tonight, in this story, it carries you. So let the surface beneath you hold you the way the sea holds a floating thing. Feel the back of your head resting. Feel your shoulders release their small effort. Feel your arms become heavier than they were a moment ago. Your hands do not need to grip anything. Your jaw does not need to hold its shape so tightly. Your eyes can soften. Your breathing can find its own unhurried rhythm. In and out. The whole day has been moving at the surface. Messages, decisions, words, faces, noise. All of it taking place where the light is bright and the water is stirred by wind. But the surface is not the whole ocean. It never has been. Under the waves, there are layers. Under the layers, there is darkness. Under the darkness, there is stillness. And under the stillness, there is a place where time seems to loosen its grip. That is where we are going. Not quickly. There is no reason to hurry on the way down. The deep ocean does not hurry. It has never hurried. It lets snow made of tiny organic fragments fall from above for years and centuries. It lets mountains form and erode. It lets shipwrecks become reefs and skeletons become dust. It lets continents shift at the speed of fingernails growing. The deep ocean is patient because it has to be. Patience is not a mood down there. It is the law of the place. So breathe slowly and let us begin at the surface. The night ocean is almost black, but not completely. There is moonlight spread across it in a long, trembling path. The moon itself hangs low above the water, pale and calm, with a few thin clouds crossing in front of it, as if the sky were breathing. The sea is not rough tonight. It rises and falls in long, slow swells, too broad to be called waves, too gentle to be called motion. Each swell lifts the surface and then lets it settle again. Lift, settle, lift, settle. The rhythm is older than language, older than any road, older than any house where anyone ever lay awake, wishing for sleep. You are at the surface of the Pacific Ocean, somewhere in the western Pacific, northeast of the Mariana Islands, in a part of the ocean that does not get much traffic. No shipping lanes nearby, no fishing boats, just open water in every direction. A dark gray blue that goes to the horizon and then keeps going. Above it, the sky is doing nothing in particular. A few high, thin clouds move slowly across the moon. The light is even and soft and almost without shadows. The water is warm at the surface. That surprises people. They think of the ocean as cold, and the surface here is not cold. It is the temperature of a bath that has been sitting for 20 minutes, past hot, past warm, settled into something comfortable and enveloping. You float on your back, and the water holds you the way warm water holds things, without effort, without preference. You can feel the swell beneath you, long, slow, deep water swells, not waves that are building toward a shore. There is no shore for hundreds of miles in any direction. These are open ocean swells, the kind that have been traveling since the last weather system moved through 3 or 4 days ago. They have had time to smooth themselves out. The period between them is long. 8 seconds, 10, 12, long enough that by the time the next one lifts you, you have almost forgotten the last one did. Rise and fall. Rise and fall. The sky above you drifts. You are here, floating above the deepest place on earth, not alone in a frightening way, alone in the good way, the way a person can be alone beside a window at night, watching rain, the way a small cabin can be alone in snow, the way a lamp can be alone in a dark room and still make the room feel kind. There is a small vessel beside you, though vessel is almost too mechanical a word for it. It is round and quiet, shaped like a pearl that learned to breathe. No sharp corners, no flashing lights, no complicated controls. Just a warm interior, a soft seat that reclines almost like a bed, and a wide glass dome facing outward into the dark. It is not built by engineers tonight. Not really. It is built by the imagination, which means it is perfectly safe. It can go anywhere. It can descend through pressure that would crush ordinary things and not even tremble. It can keep you warm where the water is near freezing. It can surround you with quiet, with breathable air, with a dim golden light inside the cabin, low enough not to wake you, steady enough to make you feel held. You enter without effort. The seat receives you. The hatch closes without a sound. The outside world remains outside. The inside becomes simple. A small pool of warm light. A curved window. A slow breath. Your breath. In. Out. The vessel releases from the surface. At first, it does not feel like descending. It feels like being lowered by a hand so gentle you cannot quite tell when the motion begins. The moonlight on the water wavers above you. The surface becomes a ceiling made of silver threads. The swells pass overhead now. Their undersides roll slowly, like enormous creatures turning in sleep. You are only a few meters down. You can still see the world above. The moon is broken into shimmering pieces by the moving water. The stars are blurred, stretched, softened. Everything sharp becomes soft when seen through the sea. This is one of the ocean's small mercies. It softens edges. It takes straight lines and makes them sway. It takes hard brightness and turns it into glow. It takes the noise of the surface and begins to fold it away. Already the world is quieter. Already the day seems a little less immediate. It is still there, somewhere above you, but it is not pressing against you now. It is on the other side of the water. A phone could ring up there and you would not hear it. An email could arrive and it would not find you. A worry could pace back and forth on the surface, looking for a way down, and it would not know how. The vessel continues downward. 10 meters. 20. 30. The first thing that changes is the light. At the surface, the water was luminous. The moon came through it and turned it into something that glowed from inside. A blue-green that seemed lit from below, even though the light was coming from above. You descend through this glow slowly. The light is still there at 30 meters, but it has changed. It has deepened. The reds have gone first. Red light does not travel far in water. It gets absorbed quickly, and by 10 meters, the red is already gone, and everything has shifted blue. Then the oranges go, then the yellows. By the time you are at 30 meters, you are in a world that is only blue and green and shadow. And it is beautiful in the way that things are beautiful when they have been simplified down to their essential character. The sounds from the surface are fading. You do not notice them going. Wind, the small sounds of water moving at the surface. Whatever sound the world makes when it is doing its ordinary things, all of it begins to fold itself into the water, muffled until it is no longer a set of separate sounds. What remains is the sound of your own body, the slow movement of water past the vessel, your heartbeat, which you can sense more clearly than you usually can, a steady low pulse that is not in a hurry. You keep going down. 50 meters. 70. 100. The light is dim now. It is still there, just barely. A kind of deep blue twilight that you would have to wait for your eyes to adjust to before you could call it seeing anything. Marine biologists call this the twilight zone, the mesopelagic, the layer where light becomes theoretical, where photosynthesis stops being possible, and everything that lives here has had to find other arrangements. Things live here. Lanternfish, drifting in their slow vertical migrations, up toward the surface at night to feed, back down during the day to hide in the dark. Siphonophores, colonial creatures that look like they were designed by someone who had only read about animals but never seen one. Long translucent chains, some of them longer than a city bus, drifting in the dim water like something from a dream about the ocean. Squid, small luminous things that make their own light. Small, cold, blue-green sparks in the dark that appear and disappear. They do not notice you. You move through their world without disturbing it. A slow descent, unhurried. The pressure increasing in the gentle way that pressure increases when you are going gradually deeper. Not discomforting, just present. a slight sense of the water having more weight to it, more substance. Your breathing has slowed already. You notice it, the way you notice things when you are getting very quiet, from a slight distance, with a mild and comfortable interest. In, out, in. The space between breaths has gotten longer. That is fine. That is the right thing. The body knows how to do this. It has been doing this every night for your entire life, and it does not need you to manage it. Let it do its work. 200 meters. The light is almost gone. Not dim exactly, not yet absent, but failing. The last useful glow has thinned into blue-black, and above you, the surface is no longer a place you could reach just by looking. It is far now. It is becoming an idea. The water temperature has dropped. Not that you feel it. Inside the vessel, everything remains warm. But outside, the ocean has passed through the thermocline, that layer where the warm surface water meets the cold, deep water, and the temperature falls quickly. There is comfort in knowing that there are layers. The world above can be warm and bright, a little lower, cooler and dimmer, a little lower, dark, and none of the layers cancel the others. They all belong to the same ocean. You belong to all your layers too. The bright ones, the tired ones, the quiet ones. The vessel lowers you beyond 300 meters, 400, 500. Blue gives way to blue-black. The last useful light from the surface is fading now. If this were daytime, sunlight would already be failing. At night, the change is subtler. The moonlit ceiling above has become faint and far, like a door closing gently in a house where everyone is asleep. There is no bang, no final moment, just the gradual understanding that the upper world is no longer where you are. You are below it now, below the ordinary ocean, below the places where swimmers move and coral gardens brighten in shallow seas, below the color of tropical water, below the boats, below the familiar, and it is still fine. It is more than fine. It is calm. The vessel knows what it is doing. The water knows how to be water. Your body knows how to rest. You do not need to manage the descent. You do not need to think ahead. You do not need to calculate anything. You can simply be carried downward, meter by meter, into the quiet. At 700 meters, the ocean outside is dark enough that the vessel's glow becomes the only nearby light. It is a low light, soft and blue, just enough to show what passes close. A jellyfish drifts by, transparent, almost not there. Its bell opens and closes with a slow, perfect pulse. Open, close, open, close. It looks less like an animal than a thought the ocean is having. Long threads trail beneath it, fine as hair, each one moving with the water. The jellyfish does not hurry. There would be nowhere to hurry to. It has no appointment in the dark, no urgent message, no destination that could be reached faster by effort. It pulses. It drifts. It becomes part of the dark again. You feel your own breathing match it for a moment. Open, close, in, out. The vessel continues down. 1,000 meters. The midnight zone begins. That is what people call it. The midnight zone. A name that sounds dramatic when spoken in daylight, but down here, it does not feel dramatic. It feels accurate. Midnight is not an event here. It is a climate. It is where the ocean stops borrowing light from the sky and becomes itself. The water outside is cold now, not that you feel it. Inside the vessel, everything remains warm. The seat is gentle beneath you. The air is steady. Your hands rest loosely. Maybe one hand has turned palm up without you deciding to move it. Maybe your fingers have curled slightly toward the center of your palm. The body does these things when it begins to trust the surface beneath it. It makes sleeping shapes. You let it. Outside, something glows and then disappears. A small green flash, then another, farther off, then 3 tiny lights moving in a line, like lanterns carried by invisible travelers. Bioluminescence, living light. The deep ocean has no sun, but it has its own small stars, not fixed above you, not arranged in constellations, moving, blinking, answering touch, hunger, warning, courtship, confusion. Each spark is a sentence in a language you do not speak. A fish with a lantern hanging from its head appears at the edge of the glow, then turns away. Its body is not built for beauty, as people usually understand beauty. It is built for this, for pressure, for darkness, for waiting, for being nearly invisible until it must not be. It passes slowly and is gone. There is something peaceful about creatures that belong exactly where they are. They are not trying to make the deep ocean into something else. They are not wishing it were warmer, brighter, easier, shallower. They are not comparing it to the surface. They live here because here is the place they were given, and there is a quiet dignity in that. The creatures at this depth have made their accommodations with the dark. Some have eyes so large, relative to their body size, that they look almost comical. Enormous light-gathering instruments designed to catch the faintest possible trace of bioluminescence, the only light source available. Barrel-eye fish with transparent heads, their tubular eyes pointing upward, watching for the silhouettes of things above them. Anglerfish, trailing their luminous lures through the dark. Patient hunters in the nothing, waiting. Viperfish, with teeth too long to fit inside their mouths. Gulper eels, with jaws that open so wide the whole creature seems to be mostly jaw. These things are strange to imagine, and yet they are not frightening. Not down here. Not tonight. They are just the forms that life takes when it has a very long time and very specific conditions, and has to figure out its own arrangements. Every creature here is a solution to the problem of living in the dark, under pressure, in the cold, far from the surface and its energy and its warmth. They solved it in their own ways over millions of years without any particular urgency. They found the shapes and the strategies that let them be here. And here they are, in the dark, continuing. You continue too. The vessel moves deeper, 1,500 meters, 2,000, The numbers appear softly on a small display inside the cabin, not bright enough to disturb you. They change slowly. 2010, 2025, 2041. Each number a little farther from the world above. Each number another layer of quiet. You do not need to count them. They are counting themselves. The ocean presses against the vessel, but the vessel does not mind. Pressure is simply the weight of all the water above. A great stack of sea resting on everything below it. At the surface, pressure is almost nothing. Down here, it is enormous. Yet outside, the water is not angry. Pressure is not anger. It is only weight. The weight of the ocean being itself. And your own body lying safely wherever you are right now knows something about weight too. The good kind of weight. The weight that comes when your muscles stop arguing with gravity. The weight that arrives when the day finally loosens. The weight of blankets. The weight of sleep approaching. You can let that weight increase. You can let your legs become heavier, your back heavier, your shoulders heavier, not pulled down, held. There is a difference. The vessel passes through a slow cloud of marine snow. That is what scientists call it. Marine snow. Tiny fragments drifting down from the upper ocean. Bits of plankton, mucus, shells, dust. Remains of things that once floated in light. It falls constantly, a soft, endless snowfall in the dark, not white like winter snow, not bright. More like gray flecks moving through black water. But the motion is the same. Downward. Quiet. Unhurried. Some of it will be eaten before it reaches the bottom. Some of it will continue falling for days. Some of it will settle into sediment where no wave will ever stir it again. There are places on the seafloor where a footprint can remain for decades. Places so still that the idea of disturbance seems almost impolite. You watch the marine snow fall past the dome. It does not fall fast. Nothing down here does. It descends in tiny hesitations, moved by currents so slow they are almost thoughts. You may notice your thoughts doing the same thing now, not rushing, not connecting to every other thought, just drifting, One appears. It sinks. Another appears. It drifts to the side. Some dissolve before they finish becoming words. That is good. You do not need complete thoughts at the edge of sleep. Incomplete thoughts are often better. They are lighter. They do not ask to be solved. 3,000 meters. The ocean outside is now beyond the reach of any natural daylight. If the sun rose above the surface right now, nothing would change here. That is strange to think about, but comforting too. There are places untouched by morning, places where the ordinary cycles of the day do not command everything. Down here, the sea does not care what hour it is. Morning, afternoon, midnight. These are surface ideas. Down here, time is measured differently, by sinking particles, by slow currents, by the growth of strange creatures over years, by the movement of tectonic plates, by the quiet accumulation of silt. The trench was not made in a hurry. The Pacific plate bent and slid beneath another plate over immense spans of time. Stone moved under stone. The earth's crust folded downward. A valley opened in the floor of the sea, and water filled it, because water fills what is low. That is one of the things water knows. It finds the low places. It does not judge them for being low. It does not say the valley should have stayed higher. It simply enters. It fills. It rests there. The deepest place becomes held by the sea. There may be something in that for you tonight. You do not have to stay at the surface to be held. The low places are held too. The deep places, the hidden places, the parts of a person that no one sees during daylight. They are not outside the world. They are part of it. They can be held too. The vessel continues its slow descent. 4,000 meters. 5,000. You are now deeper than most of the ocean floor on Earth. The average seafloor. If you could spread the oceans out into a simple number, is far above you now. But the trench continues. A great downward fold. A darkness below darkness. The vessel tilts slightly, not from danger, but from following the slope. Outside the dome, the faint beam of light reveals a wall of the trench in the distance. Not a cliff exactly, more like an enormous incline of sediment and stone, disappearing upward and downward into blackness. It is not smooth. Nothing real is entirely smooth. There are ridges, slumps, places where the seafloor has moved, places where time has left its fingerprints. The Mariana Trench is a long, crescent-shaped scar in the Pacific seafloor, formed where the Pacific Plate dives beneath the Mariana Plate, driven by the slow churning of the Earth's mantle. Slow is the wrong word for it. There is not a right word for it. The plates move at the pace that fingernails grow, a few centimeters a year, and have been doing so for longer than there have been fingernails. The deepest point is called Challenger Deep, 11 kilometers below the surface, nearly 7 miles, deeper than Mount Everest is tall, which people say to help, and it does help a little, but only a little, because Everest you can see. You can stand at the base of it and look up and feel the scale of it in your body. Challenger Deep, you can only go toward, and going toward it is what you are doing now. The walls of the trench rise somewhere beyond the light. You cannot fully see them. It is absolute dark, but you know they are there, the way you sometimes know things in the dark, not by seeing, but by a sense of the space around you. The way a room feels different from an open field, even with your eyes closed. The trench has walls, and the walls rise steeply on either side, and you are descending through the narrow, quiet between them, going deeper. A small creature crosses the illuminated patch below, a shrimp-like amphipod, pale and delicate, moving with quick little motions close to the sediment. At this depth, pale is sensible. Color is mostly for places with light. In darkness, color becomes a private matter, a thing the body may still have, but no eye needs to admire. The amphipod vanishes beneath a fold in the sediment. Again, the light shows only falling snow. At 6,000 meters, the Hadal zone begins. The word comes from Hades, the unseen place. But tonight, do not make it frightening. Unseen does not mean cruel. Unseen does not mean unsafe. There are many good things that happen unseen. Seeds open in soil. Roots drink in darkness. A child grows before anyone can see the change. Bones mend beneath the skin. Dreams arrange themselves behind closed eyes. Sleep itself is unseen. You disappear from the day's attention, and something good happens anyway. The Hadal zone is like that. Hidden, deep, doing its own quiet work. 6,500 meters, 7,000. The vessel is now in a place fewer people have visited than have walked on the moon. But the story does not need to be impressed by that. The deep is not impressed by rarity. It has been here, whether people came or not, long before the first descent, long before the first map, long before anyone gave this place a name. Names are surface things too, in a way. Useful, beautiful sometimes. But the trench did not wait to be named before being real. It was already here. Dark, cold, immense, receiving the slow snowfall from above, letting the old plates move, holding its pressure, keeping its quiet. You watch the depth number change. 7,120. 7,188. 7,256. The digits are soft, almost sleepy. They do not alarm you. They mark your distance from noise. That is all. 7,000 meters from surface noise. 7,000 meters from urgent things. 7,000 meters from the brightness that asks your eyes to stay open. The vessel drifts past a slope where the sediment lies in pale folds. It looks almost like snow-covered hills under moonlight, except there is no moon here and no snow. Just soft, ancient material, placed grain by the patient falling of the ocean above. A sea cucumber rests on the bottom, almost motionless. It has the calm appearance of something that has never once been late. Its body is soft, simple, perfectly adapted to this pressure and this dark. It moves so slowly you cannot tell whether it is moving until you look away and back again and notice it is not quite where it was. That is deep sea time. Movement you only notice after surrendering your need to measure it. You do not need to measure yourself right now. You do not need to know how close you are to sleep. Sleep is not a task with progress bars. Sleep is more like the seafloor coming gradually into view. You descend. You soften. You notice less. Then, at some point, without ceremony, you arrive. 8,000 meters. The vessel's gentle light reveals almost nothing at first. Only dark water, falling snow, a few small sparks far away. Then the slope widens below you, and for a while, it seems as if you are floating above a landscape on another planet. Not dramatic, not jagged, a quiet landscape, soft plains, long, shallow grooves, stones partly buried in sediment, the occasional pale animal moving with the slowness of a thought that does not want to wake anyone. There are no trees here, no leaves, no birds, no wind, no horizon in the ordinary sense. Yet it is still a landscape. The earth has many rooms. This is one of the rooms no one hears about much, because it is hard to visit and harder to imagine. But it is here, right now, as you rest. It is here. The surface of the ocean may be reflecting stars. Ships may be crossing far above. Rain may be falling somewhere in the Pacific. But down here, the trench is doing what it has done through countless nights, receiving darkness, holding cold, letting the soft sediment settle, existing without needing attention. There is comfort in a place that does not need to be seen in order to continue. Maybe part of you knows that feeling. The parts of you that work quietly. The part that keeps breathing while you think about other things. The part that heals small hurts without announcements. The part that carries you through ordinary days. The part that asks for nothing but rest. Tonight, that part of you can come forward. It does not need to explain itself. It can simply breathe in, out. The vessel continues deeper. 9,000 meters. There is a long, quiet stretch. Now, the kind of stretch that belongs in a sleep story. Not much happens, and that is the point. The ocean outside does not perform for you. It does not bring out wonders on schedule. It lets you sit in the dark long enough to stop expecting entertainment. At first, the mind waits for something. A giant squid, a glowing creature, a cliff, a discovery. But after a while, waiting softens, expectation loosens, and then the dark becomes enough. The hum of the vessel becomes enough. The slow falling snow becomes enough. Your own breath becomes enough. This is one of the best things deep places can teach. Not every moment has to become something else. Some moments can simply be wide and quiet. Some moments can be passed through slowly. Some moments can hold you without changing. 9,500 meters. The vessel descends through water that has never known a wave. A wave is a surface event. Wind touches water. Water rises and falls. But down here, the wind is not a force. Storms do not reach this far. Hurricanes may spin above the ocean with their white arms spread across satellite images. But down here, there is no sky to tear open, no rain, no thunder, no flash, only pressure, cold, dark, and quiet. Imagine that. A storm could be happening miles above you, and this place would remain nearly unchanged. There is a lesson in that too. Not every storm has to reach the deepest part of you. Some storms can stay at the surface. Some noise can remain far above. Some weather can pass without entering the quiet room below. And maybe tonight, as you listen, you can let the weather of your thoughts stay high above you. Let it move across the surface if it must. Let it make ripples up there. You are descending below it. You are allowed to have a deeper place. 10,000 meters. The number appears quietly. 10,000. It is a strange number, too exact looking to feel real. 10,000 meters of water above. 10 kilometers, 6 miles and more. If you could look upward with impossible eyes that could see through all the dark, the surface would be farther away than most daily journeys people make without thinking. There would be whole towns that fit within that distance. Mountains, roads, clouds, birds, all stacked above you in the mind. And still the surface would be farther. The vessel does not hurry. It moves down the last stretch like a thought nearing sleep. Slower now, softer. The bottom is somewhere below, but arrival is not urgent. You may feel your own body nearing something too. Not sleep, perhaps. Not yet. Or perhaps already. You do not have to know. You can hover near it, the way the vessel hovers above the final slope, the way a leaf hovers before touching water, the way a breath hovers in the little pause after exhale. At 10,400 meters, the trench floor begins to show itself more clearly. The vessel's light touches sediment, fine, pale, undisturbed. It lies there like the dust of old time. The bottom of the world is not a dramatic place. That may be surprising. After all that distance, all that darkness, all that pressure, you might expect something theatrical. A gate, a cliff, a glowing city of strange animals. But the deepest places are often plain. Quiet plains of silt, soft ridges, a few stones, the marks of slow geology. few living things adapted to nearly impossible conditions. The earth does not always announce its most extraordinary places with spectacle. Sometimes, the extraordinary thing is simply that the place exists, that there is a bottom, that after all the falling, there is something that receives. 10,700 meters. The vessel slows even more. It is now only a little above the trench floor, moving forward rather than down, following the contour of Challenger Deep. The name is human. The place is older than the name. Challenger Deep, a valley within the trench, the lowest known region of the sea. You pass above it as gently as a dream passes over a sleeping mind. Outside, a small amphipod rises from the sediment and settles again. It is pale, almost translucent. At this depth, bodies are built around softness. Hard spaces inside them would not survive the pressure, so life becomes flexible, yielding. It gives, and because it gives, it remains. There may be another lesson there, though you do not need to turn it into one. Sleep does not need lessons to be useful. Still, the thought drifts by. Flexibility survives pressure. Softness is not weakness down here. Softness is design. The vessel comes to rest just above the bottom, not touching it. There is no need to disturb the sediment. It hovers quietly. The depth display reads approximately 10,935 meters. The number is not the important thing anymore. The important thing is the feeling. You have arrived at the bottom of the deep, and nothing is asking anything from you. There is no ceremony, no applause, no sudden revelation, just darkness, soft light, falling marine snow, a pale floor that has been waiting without knowing it was waiting, and you, warm inside the vessel, breathing slowly for a while. We will stay here. There is nowhere else to go. That is not a problem. It is a relief. Above you is the whole weight of the Pacific. Above that, the moving surface. Above that, the moon. Above that, stars. Above that, the great unmeasured dark of space. And below you, only Earth. A quiet floor, a place that receives what falls, a place that holds what arrives. You can let yourself be held like that. No striving, no reaching, No need to rise. Just here, at the bottom of the quiet. A soft current moves past the vessel. You see it only because the marine snow leans slightly to one side. The current is slow, but it is real. Even here, at the bottom, the ocean is not completely still. Nothing living is ever entirely still. The heart moves, the lungs moves, the blood moves, the deep sea moves. But the movement is gentle enough to rest inside. You do not need perfect stillness to sleep. You only need safety. You only need permission. You only need to stop holding yourself above the surface of your own fatigue. Outside, the sediment stretches in all directions beyond the reach of the light. What lies just beyond the glow is unknown, but unknown does not have to mean frightening. There are many unknown things that are kind. The dream you have not had yet, the morning that has not arrived, the healing already happening without your supervision, the next breath not here yet, but coming. Unknown can simply mean not yet lit. The vessel's glow is small. It does not try to conquer the whole darkness. It lights only what is near. That is enough. This is another thing you can take with you into sleep. You do not need to illuminate everything. You do not need to solve the entire dark. A little circle of warmth is enough. The place where you are, the breath you are breathing, the body you are in, this moment. Enough. Now imagine the vessel resting lower, almost touching the bottom, but not quite. The sediment below is fine and pale. It has been falling here for millions of years. A slow, continuous precipitation of particles from the water above. The bodies of tiny organisms, mineral dust carried down from the surface, the accumulated drift of time. It has barely been disturbed. No current reaches this depth with any urgency. Nothing hurries the sediment. It lies as it has lain since it settled, each particle exactly where it landed, waiting for the next particle to land on top of it, which will happen eventually when another tiny thing from far above finally reaches the bottom. You touch down in the imagination only. Not enough to stir the floor, just enough to feel arrival. The sediment accepts you the way it accepts everything, without comment, without surprise, with the complete indifference of a substance that has been receiving things for millions of years and has no opinion about any of them. You are at the bottom of the deepest place on earth. Let that be just a fact for a moment. Not a dramatic one, not a frightening one, just a fact. The bottom of the deepest place on earth feels, from inside it, like this. Very still, very cold outside, very quiet, very dark. The pressure is a presence rather than a discomfort, something you are inside of rather than something being done to you. The water above you is a column 11 kilometers tall of dark and cold and gradual pressure. And at the top of it, far above, the Pacific is doing its surface things. Its swells, its winds, its slow gray blue going to the horizon in every direction. None of that reaches here. Not the wind, not the sound of ships, not the light, not the weather, not the temperature of the air, not the news from the world above. Whatever it is today, whatever happened, whatever needs to happen tomorrow, none of it reaches here. You have had that feeling before, somewhere, maybe at the bottom of a swimming pool, that specific underwater quiet where the noise of the world above becomes a muffled irrelevance, where you are briefly in a different medium entirely, where the rules are simpler and all that is required is to be still. You might have stayed down as long as you could, as a child, lying on the bottom of the pool, watching the light wobble on the tiles, feeling the silence. This is like that, except the surface is 11 kilometers away, and the silence is complete, and the light has never reached here. It is entirely fine. There are, as best as anyone can determine, bacteria living in the sediment beneath you, not visible, not making any sound, not doing anything that would register as doing something if you were not looking very carefully with very sensitive instruments. Just living, which is to say, performing the small, slow chemical transactions that constitute being alive, processing the ancient organic material in the sediment, deriving what energy they can from what is there, existing in the cold and the dark and the pressure that would destroy anything not specifically evolved to be here. They have been here for a very long time. Nobody knows exactly how long. Long enough that the word long stops meaning anything specific and becomes something more like a feeling. The feeling of duration beyond what can be counted. Of life going on in the dark, without audience, without record, without anyone knowing whether it was happening or not. It was happening. It is happening. In the sediment beneath you, in the cold and the total dark, the smallest possible expressions of life are doing their slow business. They have nowhere else to be. They are not bothered. They are not hurrying. They are simply here, as they have been. You breathe out slowly. Or you imagine breathing out slowly. Which is the same thing in the way that imagined things are real things. When your body is as quiet as yours is now. Your body is very heavy. Not in a bad way. In the way that bodies get heavy when they have been still long enough and quiet long enough and warm enough under whatever is covering them, that the muscles have given up their small maintained tensions, one by one, without you having to ask them to. There are muscles in your back that you did not know were doing anything. They are not doing it anymore. There are muscles across your shoulders, the ones that have been holding something you were not aware you were holding all day, maybe for longer. They have let go. The weight of your arms, the weight of your legs, the specific heaviness of a body that has finally stopped bracing for something and is just lying here, accepted by the surface beneath it, in the dark, in the quiet. The sediment accepted you.